Welcome to P3M with Kailash Upadhyay. In this podcast, we invite our guests to discuss about their project, program, and portfolio management experiences. And today, to share his experience of last 23 years in automotive industry, I invite my esteemed guest, Ajit Patole. From last 23 years, his primary industry remained the same automotive industry. And we have seen how this industry have taken shape, and we will talk about portfolio management in automotive industry. Ajit is also a PMI PfMP certified professional. I have interacted with Ajit during the PfMP certification journey, and I found him to have lot of experience of this automotive industry, and of course the portfolio management practices that he applied in this particular industry. So, without taking much time, I would like to invite my guest Ajit Patole. Hey Ajit, welcome to my podcast P3M with Kailash Upadhyay.
Hi, Kailash. Thanks for the invitation.
Welcome, Ajit. It's so honored to host you in my podcast. So let's start, Ajit, the segment one. So in this segment, I want to talk about the value engineering, or how the concept of value have changed over a time period. Now, before I put up my first question to you, I want to just share some experiences. Ajit, when I bought my first car, that point of time, I only asked three questions: that how powerful is the engine of the car, or how much is the mileage the car will offer me, and what will be the resale value. So this is the only three question I knew in terms of value from a car that I want to buy. But today, Ajit, when I share my experience with my nephew, recently my nephew wanted to buy a car, but what value he wanted in that car is completely different. He wanted maybe, of course, wireless, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, and over the air update of the software, connected apps, ADAS feature, and digital dashboard. God knows what he asked, and I was shocked. And even when recently I went with my wife to buy another car, I never knew these features. I again asked the same old question: how powerful is the engine, what is the horsepower, and what mileage and what resale value. Now, what I want to ask you, I feel that the customer today, rather than buying a car, they're buying a smartphone on wheels. So I want to ask you this question: how do you see the definition of value changing in the automotive industry, Ajit?
Yes, your observation is right. And even to many of my colleagues and my peers who I interact, I always feel that automotive industry or a car has changed from a instrument or a mechanical vehicle to totally SDV, a software-driven vehicle. And you really very rightly pointed out some features. For example, I can tell you that earlier we used to just get a meter-wise your speedometer or RPM and just a small radio. Now, if you see in the cars, the entire dashboard is filled with at least three Android-based screens, and the customer is really willing to get such a certain features in his car, and this is how the industry is going towards more software-driven. The point you touched about connected cars, yes, customer expecting. For example, if you're putting a car in a parking in a where there's a lot of sunlight, it gets hot. And before you get into the car, you want it to get cool. So this is how connected car helps you, that it cools the car before you get in. So this is what a customer is asking the features now, that how I can do. And going further in the electric vehicle segment also, there are a lot of features coming in wherein you can use your car as a source of power. If in case you go outside to a hilltop area, you can take the car's power and put out your small ovens or small lights, or even you can charge a car to car. So this all features the customers are demanding, and really it's really going out from a basic mechanical driven engine where people used to ask how much is the mileage and what is the horsepower. But now people ask what ADAS feature is having. what is the safety load is having, and what connectivity is having. So it is really getting more of electronics and software driven versions, and which is really getting updated day by day.
Absolutely. Ajit, I definitely agree with you because today I believe that, the value has moved from product ownership to customer experience. Every
Yes.
automotive industry now just don't want to give car as a product. They want to give car as an experience. And you rightly said with all of your experience today, customer is not buying just mileage. Customer don't even care about the resale value. They really want you rightly said, three screens, multiple apps where they can play games while they are on the move. And all of these experiences is the new value system from this particular automotive industry. Ajit, I want to move to segment two, where I want to discuss about balancing the current business versus the future technology. Now, Ajit, I remember, this example like Nokia. You you know Nokia example
Yeah.
dominated the mobile phone market at one point of time, and at that time, feature phone were completely very profitable business. So Nokia had all that feature phone only, the QWERTY keypad. Nokia phone didn't have too many apps and all those things. But their business model at that point of time worked really well. Had almost, if I know it well, it reached till 80% and above the market share of Nokia by selling the feature phone. But what has happened, when smartphone were emerging, a new operating system were coming, new apps were launching, digital ecosystem was taking shape. Leadership of Nokia faced a difficult question. They had a question: do we continue optimizing the our profitable product, which is the featured phone, or do we invest into aggressively into future technology, which is still very, very uncertain? Those app-based phone were uncertain. And what has happened, if I, look back, Ajit, for the answer to this question, I think so. We all know what is the answer to that. What strategy Nokia followed. This is the same problem today. The automotive industry is also facing, Ajit, where they don't know whether they continue with the current business model or they invest into the future technologies, which is still emerging, which is still very, very uncertain. So I want to ask you, how do you see this balance between whether investing into current business, which is already very profitable, or may they should transform into future technology? What is your thought in that, Ajit?
Yes. So here, importantly, is the portfolio balancing. So one thing is maintaining the bread and butter of your current products that they give you the sustained revenue, and also looking towards the emerging trends, what are really coming, and working towards that so that we are getting agile towards the upcoming trends and we are not falling apart. As you gave the Nokia story, that they were very much fixed on what they were doing and not willing to adapt. So here the agility and especially the balancing is coming into picture, that how we are approaching towards the new technology, sometimes even dropping the current product and giving priority to the new technology. So as per a PfMP is like a prioritizing your projects and also optimizing what we had planned. This is really a challenge where organization has to need to adapt, and whoever has sailed through this challenge by proper prioritization optimizations, they have come up with good results. We can say a lot of OEMs, specifically the Indian OEMs and to an extent Japanese and Korean OEMs in car making, they are more towards not Japanese but Korean and Indian. They are more towards inclined towards giving a lot of features and updating their portfolio towards a new technology, whereas the Europeans are still in their old age old story, and they're not willing to adapt the change. So accepting the change is also a big challenge in this current scenario, and how you accept the change, how you are sustaining with your current portfolio, and how you are balancing it out with the new investments.
Absolutely, Abhijit. If I see, the VW, the automotive car manufacturer, even today their latest car is not having too many features and all. But if you see some of the Indian automobile, they are coming up with so many features which even the most luxury car manufacturer are also not giving. So can we say, Ajit, that it depends on maybe organization risk tolerance for this balancing purpose? Is this right to say that?
Yeah, one is risk tolerance, and other thing is accepting the change. That change is really sometimes inevitable. So you have to accept the change. So firstly, we need to accept that change will come, and then yes, risk tolerance also helps in that.
Yeah. And absolutely, if I again go back to Nokia example, in spite of being a market leader, if we don't see the change wave positively, then we know what will be the future. Today, what is the Nokia's smartphone market is, I think so, less than 1% in the whole world. So you're absolutely right. We are not saying that don't invest into the current products, but at the same time, looking the innovation and the technology adaptation is very very important. And in fact, that's what we have learned in portfolio management, that sometimes balancing becomes more important than forecasting. Am I correct to say that, Ajit?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, absolutely right. I think so. This is a wonderful discussion in this segment two of this podcast. Let's move on to the next segment, Ajit. Here we will talk about regulation as a strategic signal. I want to share some, again, experience, Ajit, but you are the best person to correct me if I'm going wrong anywhere. This is what I have learned. This is what I have read, but just want to set the context and I want to share my learning or my experience. So, Ajit, what I saw, when seat belt were introduced first time in any cars, many people had registered them. They don't wanted to wear the seat belt. Some argued that seat belt are unnecessary. Some believe that it will increase the cost of the product, and of course, the manufacturer viewed them as a compliance burden. They because a seat belt came as a compliance only, but fast forward to today, what do we see? Seat belt, it is the most important security feature. In fact, that's the first thing we do when we take a seat on the car. It has become the necessity. So today, the safety feature have become the strategic advantage to many organizations, and they are investing into the safety feature. So my question to you is, how should this portfolio leader approach this reality of regulation as a strategic signal of advantage in their industry, Ajit?
Yes. So yes, regulation are really changing day by day and getting more stricter. But as an organization, they should take this as an opportunity of increase of the share of business. I'll take you an important point of airbags. So in the earlier trend, there was no airbag in the car, and then it started with only driver airbag, and later on it went to passenger and driver, so two airbags per car. And this a new regulation came that six airbags should be mandatory. So as an airbag supplier, it was a good potential for him that this regulation will add him at least minimum 6 units per car of his sale. So this regulation has really helped him to increase his revenue. So it's really become like a blessing for him. Also, the regulatory change is helping him out to increase his market share as well as his revenue, because from two airbags to a car, it's gone to six. And very soon we'll have at least nine airbags getting mandatory also. So one with a knee is still not there in India. So an airbag in the knee area is will be coming soon as a mandate, because that also helps in the G and cap score. And one more thing on regulator I'd like to add, how the OEMs have taken it positively is on the emissions. So a lot of OEMs worked on the alternate fuels like green fuel, CNG, and which also led to a big boom of EV in India. And people no more taking regulation as a constraint, but as a challenge to grow further. And there are many more regulations coming in also in EV, which will be again more challenging and increase of growth for the OEM in the automotive segment.
You're absolutely right. Today, the manufacturer, they are not taking the regulatory changes as a problem to the business. Rather, they are taking it as an opportunity for their business growth. Ajit, also, I want to tell you, even the customer today, I was doing a morning walk just yesterday, and one of this guy, he said he recently had a big accident, and because of the airbag that popped out, his life was saved. So imagine that, because of the compliance, though the cost of the product has gone high, but today his life is saved. So absolutely, you gave a great example that airbags, maybe they are 6 airbag to 9 airbag to 11 airbag. It's not only becoming a strategic advantage to the manufacturer, but today nobody wants to buy a car without airbag, frankly saying. If I go back a decade back, maybe people wanted a very economical product, but today they want these minimum safety feature in the car. And also, Preet, I want to ask you about this ethanol E20 ethanol mix engine. How do you see even this kind of regulation? Because lot of mixed reaction I'm seeing. What do you see in that, Ajit?
Yeah, really, the vehicles are really not that much ready for that adaptability. Even I can go one step back also, the BS6 engines, what were there,
Yeah,
even
yeah,
we
yeah.
still don't have the entire infrastructure ready for BS6 engines.
Okay.
And it to a certain extent, it really weakens the performance of your car when you are using this new blending in your fuels. So it's still not fully ready for both. I think so. BS6 also, which was the earlier regulatory requirement, which came nearly 3-4 years back, and now the ethanol mix. But we are forced, and there is certain solution will come up sure, because for the BS6, the many OEMs change their filters through which they could mitigate the change implementation. And similarly, something will come out soon from the automotive industry, which will really help to overcome what shortfalls they are facing right now due to this implementation.
Yeah, yeah. So, Ajit, just to summarize, so should we say that this regulation is a win-win for both the automotive industry as well as for the customer? Is that fair to say that, Ajit?
It is because they are trying to refine or trying to control the content of directly the oil from the petrol content. So it is, but yes, adaptation will take some time. But once it is done fully, it will be win-win for both as a consumer and as a reserve also.
Like a seat belt, right? It was
Yeah.
initially had resistance, but today it has become the norms. Actually, am I
Yes.
correct to
Yes.
say that?
Yes.
Absolutely. Awesome, awesome. Ajit, moving on to the next segment, and today I think so. No conversation can complete without talking about AI. Okay, and in this segment, I think so. I want to talk about little bit about AI, and I want to ask. With setting a context that whether AI is an opportunity or is it an hype. This is the topic of this particular segment. And Ajit, I want to share. I go into many boardroom as part of my consulting assignment. Whenever I visit this boardroom, AI is on every agenda. Also, see that Ajit, when internet was new in the internet era, whether every company wanted a website or not, they just started an initiative to create the website. And same thing I'm seeing here. Every slide or every thing they are saying AI enabled or AI driven thing. What in practicality in operations, I don't see any impact into their operation, but only into their pitch deck, their slide deck. They're everywhere. They are saying AI enabled and something like that. So my question to you, Ajit, how should this portfolio leader really separate genuine, AI as a strategic opportunity from the hype? Would you like to share your experience in that, Ajit?
Yes, sure. So mostly, yes, AI is really hyped, and maybe somewhere it is taken as a danger also. But
Yes.
we need to embrace this as an AI, because with a very small thing, it's a Google map. It was really very started very small scale earlier. Now everyone is living with Google map. And
Yes.
similarly, once we start embracing it, we start using it better. So when as a portfolio manager, when I think about AI, there are a lot of activities which can be done, can be automated. So we don't challenge AI as it is, but we see how we can use the AI tools in our regular review mechanism, especially in the PMI's activities, the monitoring or the dashboards what we generate, and the material plannings. So anything which has a set of activities, we try to implement this AI tool so that human time can be put on some other activities instead of doing the same work. So
Yeah.
we are mostly embracing as a portfolio manager AI and try to use this to spare some more time for good valuable work rather than doing the same job.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So getting more efficient, what I can say, through AI and using those tools.
So if you are using it, it's absolutely fine. The problem is in many organizations. If I again share my experience, Ajit, what is happening even in a training industry from last a couple of year back also, when PMBOK has recently included AI into 8th edition, but even last 2 year people are saying AI in project management. When student is attending the training, nothing is there on the AI. It is just there on the agenda. So it is just a kind of hype in many organizations rather than actual AI adaptability in that organization.
Yes.
So Ajit, let's continue moving on to this next segment. And in this segment, the I want to talk about why organization struggle to stop any initiative that they have already authorized. And I want to just share a small story or maybe a context before I put up the question around this. What is happening, organization, they have initiated some projects, they have invested their resources, whether the men, the machine, the material, money. What is happening once the money is invested or the resources invested, the organization really don't know, or they struggle to stop that initiative, and they don't have any criteria, KPI, when to stop. Okay. Now it's like that you have sitting in a movie and you watched the movie 1 hour and you didn't like the movie because it's a bad movie, but because you have invested in the movie, you're just continuing to sit into the cinema hall and wasting your hours rather than money that has already been gone. That will, whether you watch the bad movie or whether you get out from the bad movie, the money is already gone. So the same problem with the organization as well. They don't know when to stop. So I would like to ask you, why do organizations struggle with stopping these initiative?
Yes, it's a very emotional question, because the main point is the emotions what they have when they start anything.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So they, if they start anything, then they feel that I've started and this is the way I have worked earlier, this is how what the product is, so they get very much attached to it. And if in case when they're very much emotionally there, they really feel to leave it apart or come out of that. And this is the main reason when is they struggle specifically. But when we are taking a portfolio management principle further here, so
yeah,
we see a look that what was really initiated first. So yes, it was initiated fine, it was prioritized, and it was right at that time that it should be continued or that was sustained. But if you see the cycle in the optimization cycle, we see what portfolio companies were authorized earlier, whether they are close to the heart of the promoter or the investor or the owner. We need to tell that this emotional imbalance will really affect the portfolio, and sometimes taking strict decisions that dropping bread and butter project is also a part of the optimization cycle. But giving it with proper ROI and proper NBVs, how this will not encash further, even though it is a very emotionally closed project. We need to really sign it off and move these resources and the new strategies toward the upcoming things. This is how organizations really struggle. If they are really going to move ahead with this, they flourish. Otherwise, if they are emotionally attached to it, they are in a struggling mode. As we began with the Nokia story, that they were very much emotional to the first product.
yeah, 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 yeah. What about human resource now? Let's say in your organization or maybe in your team, let's say a person was performing really well in last 5 to 7 years, and because of new innovation, AI and agile, or all of these new methodology and way of working, let's say he's not able to adapt. Now again, it's the same kind of question. I just want to see, what do you do in that? Again, you have to stop because you can't waste the portfolio profitability will reduce otherwise. So what do you see in this, Ajit? If you like to talk about that, please.
Specifically in human resource, we always calibrate the resource on the needs of the organization and how there's the capability of that resource,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
upgrading his capability so that he is meeting to the demands what we have. Uh, this is how we take the resource ahead to uh, meet the goal.
Okay, 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 okay. So you're saying that is purely a emotional angle that organization is not able to stop the initiative, or it is any other reason behind it also other than emotional angle?
Majorly emotional, because those initiatives are really like a founding project or the first
Pet
project, and they want
projects
to
and all.
continue. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So mostly emotional angle, even though it is going at a loss, but they still want to continue. Or maybe a particular customer, maybe he's the very first customer, with through that customer we have traveled so far. So sometimes they really feel very emotional to get detached from that. So there, this is what the struggle is.
Okay, okay. Isn't it also because of Ajit? Maybe the KPI are not defined correctly, and because the KPI are not there, they are not able to monitor whether the initiative is really adding value or not. Is that can be also a reason there, Ajit?
Yes. In fact, when we also learn in the governance that the governance KPI should also be being
Yeah,
seen through. Are they really relevant at this
yeah,
particular? Because at the initiation phase,
yeah,
yes, those were the set KPIs and the governance model set. But as
yes.
the trends are changing, as we have discussed that the industry is going from mechanical to software, are
Yeah.
those KPI really relevant now? So
Mhm.
sometimes yes, KPIs also affect on this.
I think so. That's really wonderful, Ajit. Let's move on to segment six. In the sixth segment, the topic here we want to discuss is lessons the other industry can learn from the automotive industry. What I have experienced, Ajit, historically, when I see automotive companies were seen as manufacturing organization. Okay, and today they are becoming more like a software companies. That's what we said, and they're becoming energy company, a hydrogen fuel, ethanol mixed fuel, again that compressed natural gas, and is so much of is more looks like the automotive industry are becoming a fuel researcher or something like that, or maybe data companies. They are other thing which I'm seeing today. They're becoming a data company where they are tracking the behavior and so many other aspects of driving, so that it can take command, and so many features are there in this automotive product today. My question to you, Ajit, what lesson do you believe the portfolio leader in the other industry can learn from this transformation that is happening in automotive sector? If you could share your experience there.
Yes. Specifically, the lessons learned on change is now change is no more like an occasional event. And maybe in our project management also, we have moved on from waterfall to agile. So, agile is mostly encouraging the changes which are coming, because in
Yeah,
waterfall, if any change comes, everything changes, and we are very much reluctant for a change. But
yeah.
now, even the automotive industry, the project management system is also going towards very much agile, and we are working on the hybrid methodologies here, and it's likely nearly become a permanent operating condition in a change environment. And so really, if we say, if, when we began the discussions, or technology has really evolved faster, so
Yeah.
changes are also coming due to the technology, and customer expectations are really getting huge. So which is also, if in case I'm starting a new vehicle launch, it nearly takes nearly 2.5 years. So at
Hmm.
my beginning of my vehicle launch, certain features are required, I've taken. Over a period of 1.5 year, it really changes. So I have to adapt that whatever I planned earlier, I have to upgrade more and launch it with that particular feature. It's just evolving. It's not that it's been preset and we are going ahead with that. So even the regulations are evolving faster. So when we are starting the first initiation of a particular portfolio component, requirements are different, but over a period, it evolves fast. So we have to very much agile and accept the change, not deny it towards it. This is the major lessons learned. What we in automotive industry also have learned in terms of changes which are coming.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And see,
And also,
Frank,
we have to be more quick on this decision, because if we lose the time, we even lose the market share in this implementing a particular change.
absolutely, absolutely. And frankly saying, Ajit, the way I see automotive sector is becoming a master class for navigating uncertainty. Why I'm saying this? See, I take so many master class: the portfolio management, the program management, the risk management, business analysis. There's so many master class which I take. But this industry, I'm taking a lot of lesson learned, because consider what's happening simultaneously in this industry. The EV expansion is happening, ethanol adaptation is happening, hydrogen fuel pilots are happening, autonomous technologies are happening, connected vehicles are happening, sustainability requirements are becoming the norms, and very few industry faces these many disruption at once. I don't see any other industry are saying or are watching these many expansion, changes, regulation. This industry is becoming, as I said, it's a masterclass for navigating uncertainty. I think so. In every industry, they can take so much lesson learned from automotive industry. Am I correct, Ajit? There?
Yes, 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 yes. True, very true. Because
Yeah,
it started all from BS6
yeah,
4 years back, and
yeah.
since then we are just working through a lot of changes, a lot of regulatory requirement changes, and we are getting more agile. So being agile is what is really
Yeah.
able to sustain this environment.
I think so. This is wonderful conversation with you, Ajit. Moving on to next segment. Here, the P3M community, especially who are the PfMP aspirants, I would like to bring your experience of the PfMP certification journey for the community advantage. That is what is my seventh segment of this podcast, Ajit. See, the PfMP certification, when anybody is taking this journey, they feel that it's only about framework, tools, or just about governance. That is what they feel. But I want to ask you, in your journey, what have you experienced other than learning framework or some tools or some governance practices, Ajit?
So in my journey, what I've learned or what I'm implementing also is on the selection of ideas in a
Yeah,
portfolio, how they are. And we have really good ideas and strong strategies in the organization. But
yeah,
what I learned through further is prioritizing those ideas and using those portfolio components only in the portfolio roadmap. This is
yeah,
what I am carrying on further with my PFMP journey in my particular organization today. And also not only in prioritization but also in optimization. So whatever was prioritized, what was then initiated, planned and executed, when we optimize that, we really see as a portfolio manager that are we there or do we want to continue this.
yeah,
As we said earlier, that change is coming
yeah,
up,
yeah,
so whether
yeah,
this
yeah,
component is really valid when it was prioritized earlier, or do we need to stop and modify this to accommodate the new requirements, new standards coming up. So this is how uh, this portfolio management has helped me uh, in my current journey also. And these two particular aspects I take very strongly: the prioritizations and the optimizations, not just on understanding the uh, major framework.
absolutely, absolutely. And in fact, those are the core, very core part of the portfolio management. You rightly said, other than just learning some framework or learning some tools, I think so. These aspect of portfolio management is definitely a great advantage that people should not take the certification journey only to get certified or just learn some framework, but learn the real strategy implementation, entire process and systems that they can take back and drive greater business value for the organization and their stakeholder. Other than that, any other specific things that you would like to share for the PFMP community, Ajit?
One more important thing, what we can learn when we are studying this PFMP is how we ensure that the investments are put up in the right contribution towards strategic outcomes. That is what
Yeah.
is this journey helped us.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I know you're absolutely right. That is what portfolio manager responsibility is, doing the right thing versus doing things right. So that's a wonderful pointer that you said. It definitely teaches us that how to select the right initiative and then categorize them, prioritize them, and continuously optimize them when the business environment is continuously evolving. And of course, today's VUCA world, vulnerability, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity is highest in every aspect, actually. So I think so. That's really really great. So that's all. I think so, Ajit. This is a wonderful conversation. We have I have personally learned a lot from this automotive industry and from your experiences that you have shared, and I hope our audience can take this automotive as a such an vulnerable industry, compliance and heavy regulatory industry. Still, it's the fastest growing industry. I think so. For every other, whether it's a training business, whether it's banking or uh, any other thing, for all of us in this business, a lot to learn from automotive sector. So thank you, Ajit. Great hosting you. I hope you enjoyed this session as well, Ajit.
Yes, I really enjoyed. Thank you for inviting me also. So I would
Absolutely.
also, it was really good for me sharing some of automotive experiences, what we are doing and how we are accepting the change.
Absolutely. For my audience now, thank you for giving great response to P3M with Kailash Upadhyay. And it is because of your feedback, it is because of your appreciation. We invest a lot in finding the right guest for our podcast show, and we bring so much of project program and portfolio management learning through these special guests for all of you. So really thanks to all of you. Keep sharing your love, keep sharing this podcast. Do subscribe, hit a bell icon so that you get notification for so many podcasts that is going to get live in coming weeks. So if you are watching this, then do subscribe and hit the bell button. That's all for now. Thanks once again, Ajit.
Thank
It's
you.
been really, really awesome hosting you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.